Hey everyone, Paul from TechZenik here. In this lesson of Python, we'll be learning about iteration, or loops. There are three components to a loop. First one is a counter variable. Second is a counter condition, and the third is the increment. For this first loop, we'll be learning about the while loop. We're first going to define our counter variable. I'm going to call it I and set it equal to 0. On the next line, I'm going to write my while loop. To do this, we write the word while. I, or our counter variable, is less than 10, colon, we're going to print I. So, just a quick recap. I equals 0 is our counter variable. And I less than 10 is our condition. And now we need our counter increment. So I can write it as I equals I plus 1. This looks a bit weird, but what this statement means is we're taking our current value of I and adding 1 to it. So in our first loop, it's 0, and then we add 1. This keeps going until our condition is met. Another way we can write I equals I plus 1 is I plus equals 1. These two statements mean the exact same thing. So I'm going to remove this statement. And when I run my code, as you can see, we're printing the numbers 0 to 9. Notice how we don't get to 10. Because in our condition, our counter variable only goes up by 1 until it's less than 10. And since 10 is not less than 10, we stop the loop there. If we wanted to print 10, we can make our condition I is less than or equal to 10. And when I run the code, we get 10. The next way to write a loop is the for loop. Just like our while loop, we must have these three components to the loop: the counter variable, the counter condition, and the counter increment. So to write this loop that we just made here, we can write it like this: for I in range of 0 to 10, we're going to add 1 each time we loop. And now we're going to print I here. I'm going to comment out our code for the while loop so it doesn't get in the way of our for loop. When I run this code, we get the same loop. So I here is our counter variable. The first two numbers of the range function are our conditions. So from 0 to 10. And the third number is our increment. So number 1. This loop works the exact same way as the while loop. However, we can add more stuff to our for loops in Python. We can add an else statement as well, and we can print or do something after the loop is completed. So I can print the loop has ended here. So we loop from 0 to 9, and once the loop is ended, we print the loop has ended. I'm going to comment out this loop here and show you another way to make a loop that counts from 0 to 9. For I in range 10, we're going to print I. This for loop works the exact same way as the one above. So our counter variable I is set to 0 by default, and when the range function only has one input, it sets the default start to 0 and sets the end to this number we have in the brackets. And it will also automatically increment by 1 each time. So this is a faster way to write this for loop instead of writing these 3 numbers as well. However, if you want to change the amount you increment by or when you start, you would want to use the range function with multiple inputs. So just as an example, if we run this loop that starts at 2, ends at 10, and increments by 2, we get these numbers printed to the console, 2, 4, 6, 8, and the loop has ended. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next lesson.